Hi, boys and girls, and welcome. Timo from EAV Rudio, and we are here with Scott Frenz Presents on our weekly chat, and we have the special honor of having Ben Basile sitting down with us, and you're going to learn all about who he is and what he's got that you are going to be excited about. So say hi, Ben.
Hello.
All
My
right,
name
see,
is
there we
my
go.
name is Ben Basile.
Ben Basile. I would mispronounce it a whole lot until I heard a radio ID you did for me. I'm like, oh God, I've been saying this wrong on air the whole time.
That's okay.
But I have corrected myself since then. So, getting started here, Ben. You play with a lot of bands. You do a lot of things with music. When people say, "Who is Ben Basile?" I'm like, "Well, that's what I say. All these bands. He does this type, this type, this type." But I'm always curious if somebody asked that question and you were answer it. Who do you think you are, Ben?
Well, now I have the answer to that because I have officially put out my own solo record. And so I can hand them a copy of Benergy and say, "Here you go. This is me. This is what I sound like. This is who I am." Prior to that, it was a little bit more of a complicated answer, right? Playing with different bands and not really having any music to call my own quite yet.
What are some of the bands you played with?
Oh, of course. I've been playing with Big D and the Kids Table for over 12 years now.
Which is where I
Um,
got to know Ben, boys and girls, obviously.
yeah, which is I've met a lot of people throughout the country and the world. And uh, and then back home here in Poughkeepsie, New York, I run a weekly every Tuesday night jazz jam session. I've also played with the Pilfers as well, and I played with New York Ska Jazz Ensemble for a couple of years as well. Um, yeah, that's some of the stuff I do.
Ben, one of the things I came across while doing some research for this interview was emo night karaoke.
Oh yeah.
You got to tell me about that. I
All
mean,
right, sure.
do you go through a lot of black eyeliner? Are you
I'll
dressing
I'll
in black, very
I'll just
sad?
say I play with a ska band. I look like I'm in a ska band. I play with an emo karaoke band. I look like I'm in an emo band. I'll leave it at that. You'll have to come and see exactly what you're looking for. But yeah, I also play with emo night karaoke, and it is a super fun. It's exactly what you think it is. We're up there playing over 100 emo and pop punk covers, and people from the audience are coming up one by one and screaming their Fall Out Boy hearts out with us. And it
That is
is it
fantastic.
is absurdly fun. And the band has like 12, 13, 14, 15 members, and it's always just a constant rotation
It sounds depressing.
based on who's available. It is emo, but it is so very fun.
That
But
is awesome.
yeah,
Because
we
I
play in
was just
Florida all
looking.
the time, Tim.
Do
So you
you?
should come. Yeah.
I'm going to find that. I'm going to look that
Yes.
up, and uh, I'll drag my wife out to that because she will enjoy that immensely, I think. Um, And then you mentioned the New York Sky Jazz Ensemble,
Yeah.
which is a huge, I'm a huge fan of. Did you see, well, you guys played with Big D, you played Supernova last year,
Yes.
and they are playing Supernova this year. Will
Yes.
we see a appearance by you maybe down in Virginia this year?
I am unsure if will be at Supernova still for this year, but I am considering going. I just kind of have to wait and just see how my work
But it's a
travel looks like
possibility.
schedule. But it is a
There's no
possibility.
promise of possibility.
Um, I played with New York Ska Jazz from 2014 to 2017 with Freddie and all them. They're fantastic, and I'm super excited that they are going to be playing Supernova this year.
I am too. I
Think
saw
that they
them,
are a fantastic band.
yeah, I saw them in 2019, right before the pandemic, down here in Tampa, and it was an amazing show. I
Yeah.
hadn't seen Freddie since he played with the Toasters back in the day, and it was good to see him and the entire band, and they put on a hell of a show.
What was
Yeah,
the show
I
in
saw
Tampa
them.
that you?
I saw them for the first time. It's going to be in Supernova 2025 when I
Oh,
see
wow.
them for the first time.
Yeah.
I have their
Well,
thing, but yeah, I've never seen them, so I'm
Yep.
excited about that.
the show was at the Black or the Crowbar here
Okay.
in Tampa.
Very
I don't
cool.
know if you've ever played that venue. It's a small little independent venue down here?
Yeah, I went down and played Jacksonville one year
Okay.
with New York Ska Jazz. It was a
Well,
lot of fun.
I want to turn a little bit here. I want to talk about all the people you have played with. I want to talk about everywhere you've been. I'm excited to hear about that. But what I'm more excited about for right now is I want to talk about this new release, Benergy, that you have just put out. Did you mention on who you are? Because you can hand that to people now and say, "This is who I am." You're going to hand it to me. I'm going to go, "What the hell is this? This looks cool." Tell me about Benergy. Like what? I know the inspired to do it is you probably just you wanted to put out music, I'm assuming. But what were your inspirations for it? What was your kind of direction? And what did you want to accomplish with it?
Well, I'll give you the first thing is kind of what you said, you know. I have yet to like properly release some music that will just like stand on its own and just represent me and who I am as a musician.
And
Um,
congratulations on doing that, by the way.
Thank you very
That's a big
much.
step.
It was a very big step and a very big project. Um, and then yeah, I ultimately feel like it's this like specific combination of who I am. You know, and I've been playing with Big D for the last 12 years. A lot of people know me as like a ska punk musician.
Hmm.
At home here in the Hudson Valley, where I went to college, everybody knows me as a jazz musician. Um, and then like right in the middle of all that is like ska jazz and instrumental reggae. And so you know, playing in New York Ska Jazz Ensemble, I felt very at home because it was like the two sides of it all coming together, and that's one of the things I love about that band. And ultimately, one of the things that came to fruition on Benergy when I started doing my own music. I knew from day one it was going to be instrumental, ska, jazz, and reggae, and that's what it is. So yeah, most of the people who know me like around the country, like you guys from Big D, are kind of like, whoa, this is like a couple shifts down from the tempo and energy of Big D and the Kids Table. But all my friends at home who know me as a jazz musician are like, whoa, this is not quite jazz. This is a little faster and a little more danceable and exciting.
And if I can cut in
Um,
there in a minute and tell you that he is correct, that was exactly my thought. But I can tell you, as expecting that kind of ska punk, I still absolutely loved it. So
yeah.
don't let that, oh, it's going to be slow. I don't want to know. It is great. So you still need to go and check it out. Continue,
Oh,
Ben. I apologize.
I hard agree with you, Timo. Um, And yeah, I'll tell you the other little fun tidbit is I think it was January 2023, and the Pomps put out their first single on Bad Time Records, and Heart Flipper was the song, and it came out, and I was like, God damn, this is good. And that's Alex and Casey, who also play with Big D. And I was just like, you know, my two buds are doing their own side, you know, with air quotes, like side project, not Big D. They're putting out their own music. It's fantastic. I think it's time for me to do the same. And then I made it my New Year's resolution in 2023 to record that record. And I'm happy to say that I finished recording in December of 2023, and then it took about a year to mix, master, line up the record label, and then it came out in May 2025. So it's been a long process.
See,
Speaking,
that's something that all of us plebes don't understand. It's like, well, you made the music and recorded it, you're done, right? But you
No.
got to go through that whole business thing. Yeah.
well, you met.
Making the record is hard enough. Getting people to listen to it is even harder.
Well, hopefully we're
What
going to help you with that a
were we
little
gonna say,
bit.
Tim?
Oh, I was going to say, you spoke of the Pomps and your
Yeah.
bandmate Alex. Talk about some of the other artists on the album because I did some research on the other people that played on it, and they're not traditional ska artists. They're more,
Well, so
uh,
that
which I found interesting, and I found really, I mean, I think it added a lot to the album. And I don't know, can you speak to that kind of?
yeah, of course. So it's pretty funny, right? Like the rhythm section is the rhythm section from Big D and the Kids Table. Um, it's me, Alex, and Casey, and yeah, we play ska punk really well. We also play trad ska and reggae really well. So like you might not like quite expect that, you know, from a ska punk band, but a lot of us are really deep and well versed into the music. I would say, I mean, I'd say pretty firmly, like I play in a ska punk band, but I am like more of a traditionalist when it comes to ska and reggae. Like I will be listening to the Debonaires before I will be listening to Buck 'O' Nine like any day of the week. No disrespect to anybody, but like that's just kind of where I am and have been always with this music. So yeah, it's a little bit of a curveball when you see it's the rhythm section from Big D, and it kind of doesn't sound like that at all. Like Alex, our drummer, is like you ask him to play reggae music, and you're just in a whole different like. He's so fucking good at it, and it's fantastic. Um, the other players on the record, the trumpet player is a longtime college friend of mine. He is a master trumpet player. He lives down in Philadelphia and he plays in a lot of like funk and soul bands down there. But we went to jazz college together and learned how to play jazz. The saxophone player is a longtime friend of mine named Matt Garrison. He's also a New York City jazz scene saxophone player down there. And on trombone is Greg Robinson from Mephistopheles. And I first heard I first heard Greg play, man, it had to have been like 2005, 6 or 7. And he was playing in the Toasters at the time. And I was just like totally blown away by his like sound and style. And he was just up there playing like jazz and bebop licks over the Toasters tunes. And I was like, this is fucking amazing, you know? Because like coming from the other trombone players that like Rick Faulkner was kind of like that as well too. But prior to that, I think I was seeing Chris Rhodes with the band, who has a
Okay.
whole
Yep.
different sound
Hmm.
than Greg. You know, Chris kind of fits in that like Vinny sound from the Pilfers and Glenn Pine from the Slackers, but there was Greg just sounding like JJ Johnson up there, and I was totally blown away. So I had never really like worked or done anything with Greg up until this record. I kind of just we met like once or twice. I just shot him a Facebook message and I was like, "Hey, will you play on my record?" And he said yes. And so yeah, pretty grateful to have Greg on there. It was great to work with him.
Awesome, awesome. Um, and I know you did a short run of some shows, not with all of those musicians, obviously, because
Yeah,
everybody
sure.
is everywhere. Um, Two questions here. How did those shows go? What was kind of the feedback you got from the fans and the folks that were playing with you? And do you have any other shows to help promote Benergy coming up?
Okay, last question first. Working on some more shows now. I literally made a phone call this afternoon to try to put that in motion. Um, so I want to do some more stuff towards the end of the year. You know, I think uh, there will be more shows because going to the first question, the response was really great. And I had a pretty good turnout at all the shows. We had 150 people here in my hometown of Poughkeepsie, which was like absurd. Um, it was a lot. It was a lot of people, and yeah, it was all really great. And I had we had Kaylee from Catbite play keys with us,
Awesome.
which was very special for a lot of reasons. One, she's fantastic. But two, every other musician on the stage I have played with a million times. So like when they take a solo or however they're gonna play, like I already knew fully what to expect. Whereas Kaylee was like a brand new musician who I had never played with before. So every night I was like very happy and pleased and she sounded amazing. You know what I
And
mean? It's like
surprised.
yeah, like surprised and she was doing all this really fun stuff and like fantastic solos as well. So it was just like having a new voice in the room, you know, and Kaylee like yeah, every other musician on the stage I have worked with like many times. They're some of my closest musical collaborators, and it was just really nice to just throw that one musician in there to shake it all up, and that was Kaylee, and it was very special. Yeah, and I was again very grateful. Kaylee was willing to do this. It was just in between like Catbite had off for 2 weekends, and Kaylee came with me for one of them, so that was
Nice.
awesome. Um, yeah, Kaylee and I are close to the same age. Um, I grew up about an hour and a half north of New York City. Kaylee grew up about a half hour north of New York City. So she and I were able to bond on like going to the same shows as kids
Mhm.
and like really diving into the New York City scene. Like I mean, Kaylee and I talked about Victor Rice for like a half hour together, and I was like, there's nobody that I really get to talk to about this stuff, as in depth as somebody who was there growing up at the same time as me.
You probably
So
have
that was that was very fun.
some of those instances where it's like, oh yeah, this one time when I saw so and so here, and like, oh my God, I was there, and you're like, I knew somebody there. Oh my
Yeah,
God, you were
yeah,
there.
yep, yep. Yeah, isn't that the
Yeah.
best when you meet friends in the music world and you're like, oh yeah, I was at that show too.
And
Or
it
the
was,
Ska, I was gonna say the Ska Friends group. There was a Free Slacker show at the Smithsonian Art Museum back in like 2018, and a bunch of us were there at that show. We're even in a group photo together,
Yep,
and we knew none of each other,
yep.
and we all came together through this Zoom call and
Yeah,
got together, and it was crazy.
I love that.
Um, Question for you on the have you kind of come together with a core touring group, or is it going to kind of just be who you can get and who's available and that kind of thing?
Yeah, who I can get, who's available, who's kind of willing, to go do it. All of that is just gonna forever be at play. Um,
Okay.
uh, something also special from this weekend is my identical twin brother played trombone on the tour.
Oh, nice.
He and I have played in a cover band together for about 15 years. So he and I have obviously played a lot of shows together. But this was like his first time going out with a ska band and actually doing 4 shows in a row. He was very excited and he
Oh,
did
wow.
he did great as well too.
What
Uh,
I got to ask, what's cover band?
he and I had a funk soul Motown cover band called In the Pocket that just played like local bars here in New York.
That's
Um, Yep. He and I started it together in college, and the band lasted 15 years. And yeah, so having him up on stage with me was pretty special. Something y'all probably don't know is we played my whole record down, not in order, obviously, but we played the whole record, and then we threw in a couple covers and arrangements of other tunes as well. And one of those was Victor Rice's Twins, because my brother
nice.
and I were both on
clever.
stage. Yeah.
That's great. Um, and I know you're very proud of of your record. What are you most proud of? I know putting out the record you're very proud of, but kind of what is your do you have a magnum opus of this recording? Is there just like a song that you're like, man, I really love that one just really sings out to me.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely. I mean, that's such a loaded question,
Isn't it
right?
though?
It's such a loaded question.
But
Um,
I had to ask because
yeah.
you know
I mean, I'll just talk to you about some of the good things. Just
okay.
just just all of the many good things in general. I mean, the reception I've gotten back from everybody, and how many people have like helped me along the way. Like, all right, so the the phrase that's been coming in my head lately these last couple of weeks is "it takes a village." Now that normally comes up when you're talking about raising kids, right? But like, I don't have kids. I have a great ska record, and it took a village, and a lot of people have helped me out along the way. And so that has been like really great and very special as well.
Pardon me for
Um,
pointing out really quick too. Your ska record doesn't talk back in sass, so
yeah,
congratulations.
yeah, yeah. They're almost just as expensive though.
Yes.
And then there's the opening track of the record. I had always known that the opening track is called 74 Leonard Street, which was the address of the old knitting factory when it was in Manhattan. And as I mentioned before, that's where like Kaylee and I grew up going to a lot of the ska shows. And so I had always wanted to write a song in tribute to the knitting factory because of how special it was. And um, and it opens up the record very nicely. And then my friend Vince takes that first trumpet solo on it, and there's just something about that solo every time I hear it where it just like hits me right here, and it's a very soulful and melodic and expressive trumpet solo. And so that one like gives me the feels every time I hear it. What else? What else is good stuff? Yeah, everything's been good. It's been a really a pleasure putting this out. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you because there's always something that you love the whole record, but there's always something that you're like just that little bit more, like that trumpet solo that you mentioned.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we also know that your answer will change every time. You'll always find something else like, oh yeah, and this and this and this because you do
Of
love it all.
course.
That's how
Yeah.
that question. That's how
Yeah.
loaded questions go.
Yeah. 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 I can't answer that.
So
It's like asking who's your favorite child. They're all my
That's
favorites.
exactly what I was thinking.
no, the correct
It's
answer
like
there's none of them.
that's good too. I like that.
So I know we're promoting this, we're working on this, we're looking at this with your band touring and all that. Have you had any thought on what you're gonna release next? Or are you still just living in this for right now and you're gonna
Yeah.
get to that?
I pretty much after the first couple singles came out and like getting through this process, I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna do another one at some point. But I set a soft 5-year goal for myself. Um, I, with it being a solo record, there's a lot of challenges that come along with that. A lot of it is financial, but a lot of it is just time and energy.
Mhm.
Like playing with so many other projects. There's only so much time, I have. So um, I kind of decided like 2030 could be when the next one might be coming out, right? And so what that actually means is like I have like 2 years to not think about it, or 2 years to kind of write it, and then like another 2 years to put it together and get it maybe
Right.
ready for 2030, right? So, but I kind of told myself like I do want to do it again. I want to wait a long time. Like I want to wait. I want to let the songs marinate. I want to like have them as flushed out as I did for this first record, right? That's what made this record so good, in my opinion, is that I
Well,
took time with it. I didn't rush a single thing with it. Um, and just speaking from my experience and like working and playing with so many bands over the years, it's like when art starts to have a timeline, things can suffer.
right.
And it could be the songwriting, it could be the production, it could be the performance, any sort of those
You're
things.
forcing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just was like, all right, 5 years or so for me, and then I can put the
Well,
next one
and
out.
it'll also give you the chance to actually enjoy going out and playing and everything coming from your first album instead of getting on that and not enjoying what you have
Oh yeah,
created on this
yeah,
first go, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I personally I have plans to go back to grad school as well, so I want to get that done and out of the way maybe before I do the next record.
And
We have a
and you
lot
got
of
to leave.
dogs getting let out right now, if you're wondering what that noise is. There they
Okay.
are.
I was gonna say, and you got to leave time for the emo night karaoke
Th
because
those guys keep me so busy. Yeah,
There's
I
not gonna
couldn't
be any
even
tours
believe.
with that, right?
No, they
you
do.
said,
They just do weekends actually. Yeah,
but
yeah.
you said they come down to Florida, so I will check that out.
Oh, you totally should.
Um, so going through and reading your bio, yeah, it says, you know, it's kind of fun reading people's bios. And it talks about when you were in seventh grade and your sister gave you a stack of records, like
Hmm.
punk and ska records. What were those records? What was in that stack of
What
records?
stood
Yeah,
out?
yeah. Yeah, so they were CDs, right? Just to clarify, right?
Well, yeah.
CDs, yep. Yeah, because it was 2000 something. Maybe 2000. I don't even know. Um all right, so I actually still have a couple of the CDs just because I wanted to hold on to them. They're all scratched to shit and they don't play anymore. But um all right. Bouncing Souls Summer Vacation.
Oh,
Mighty
great album.
Mighty 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 Bosstones, Let's Face It. Rancid Out Come
Nice.
the Wolves. There was Green
Good.
Day Dookie. Um
I think I had
there
that
was
in '94.
Goldfinger Superman.
Yep.
There might have also been the not sorry, I meant Hang-Ups, the Hang-Ups record. There might have also been the self-titled Goldfinger record. Um, I feel like I'm missing one or two. There was definitely a Juliana Theory CD in there, but that didn't really click with me. I never really went back to that one.
So,
Wait,
uh,
Ballstones, Goldfinger. Oh, Real Big Fish.
oh yeah.
And probably a Less Than Jake as well.
Okay, that makes sense. Um, out of those, I'm going to go back to the favorite question again. What one did you just have on repeat in your CD player?
My brother and I like got really into the Bosstones when we were young. The official, unofficial first concert I ever went to was the Mighty Mighty Bosstones here in Poughkeepsie at the Chance.
Nice.
And they were me and my brother's like first favorite band. So we just dove very deep into them and their history and had all the records and all of that. And then of
Your
course,
first concert way
yeah,
outdoes mine, which was Paula Abdul and Color Me Bad. So,
that's not bad.
Well,
Yeah.
I would like to point out
Uh,
too that the Boston is so important for you and your brother. The Boston's were also important for me and my brother. We both got into the Boston's at the same time, and towards the end, starting on number 14, started going up every year to Boston together for the hometown throwdown. So they were
awesome.
also a big part of my brothers and my music listening.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they had the hiatus for a while there in the early 2000s, and my brother and I had tickets to the first two nights of when they got back together for the hometown throwdown.
oh, nice.
Middle
I
East,
guess that
right?
was 2000,
For that
yeah,
one?
at least downstairs, 2008 or 9 maybe. And I was right in the front row for that first note back. I remember.
If
Nice.
I remember correctly, you do bass transcriptions, and one of the songs is
I
Royal
have.
Oil, right?
Yep, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean some of
Nice.
the first bass lines I ever learned were Joe Gittleman's.
So, um, your brother.
Speaking
Speaking of
of
your
my
brother,
brother being a Boston fan, and we were listening to the Boston together. He can't hear me because he doesn't have his headphones in yet. But there's my brother Ben, and yes, he was also a Boston fan with me way back in the day.
Hi,
Hey,
Bart.
Steven.
Hey,
Nice to
Ben.
meet
How
you,
you
Steven.
doing? Good to meet you. I did not know you guys were doing an interview today. Sorry about
No,
that.
it's fine. How it
go
works,
ahead.
All
man.
right, Steven, do you have any questions for me?
I don't. I was not ready to come in on this. I literally I just sent my brother. I sent everybody a text. I was like, "Why isn't everybody sending out the link?" And I was like, "Oh, we're doing an interview. Okay."
And it's the
But
same link every week.
I know. That's how I got on.
All right, Tim,
Okay.
your question?
my question is,
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to my favorite question off that Let's Face It album. Mine was 187. What was your? Or wait, was it 187? Not 187.
128.
128.
128.
128. That's it. 187. Different song. 128.
I'm
Yes,
gonna pull it up.
128 was.
I'm gonna pull it up right now. Track listing. Um, it's not one of the.
It wasn't one of the singles off of it.
Yeah, hold on.
One, two,
While
listen
he's looking,
to.
I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the time here and say I don't know off of that album, but my favorite Boston song I think was probably "Where'd You Go." That was one of the first
That
ones I
is a good
fell in
one.
love with back in the day, and then ever since then it was all uphill.
God, again, this is an impossible question. Um,
I mean,
I feel
one, two.
like it's in the second half. We're talking like Numbered Days or Never Mind Me or Desensitized. Like I'm
Okay,
like
yeah.
because there what was obviously what's funny about that record is wasn't as heavy compared to the records before,
Hmm.
right?
And that's
So
why I liked 128 because it
yeah,
was.
I mean, of course. So I feel like if I had to pick a favorite from that, it would be like one of the deep cuts, not the singles from that. Um, off the top of my head.
Well, that's it. This interview's over. We're done.
Yeah, yeah,
Whatever,
tough
Ben.
question. Sorry. All right, the impression that I get is and always will be my favorite song. Period.
Okay, dude, you fall way too easily under pressure because yeah, this is okay.
But what other instruments do you play? Because you know, it says you didn't like trombone,
No.
which you're in a ska band. You gotta love the horns,
Love
but you
somebody
didn't.
else playing trombone.
You love somebody else playing trombone, not you.
Yeah, and if you can get Greg Robinson to do it, yeah, you're pretty lucky, right?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm primarily a bass player with electric bass being my primary instrument. I also play upright bass. I cannot play guitar. I can play a little bit of piano. But that's about it. Yeah, mostly
Okay.
just bass. And the story goes, yeah, I played trombone in like fifth, sixth grade when they had you pick out a band instrument, and I used to, used to skip the lessons in school because I hated it and I didn't
What?
like
Why did
music.
you hate it? I'm just curious.
I
What?
didn't like music then, right? I was like,
Okay, okay.
I don't want to play. I don't want to
It
play.
wasn't trombone. It's
Everybody,
just
it's not
music sucked.
cool. At the time, it's not
I
cool.
hadn't found ska yet. You know,
It's
I
not
didn't
cool at
have
the
a,
time when you're a kid.
yeah, I didn't
I,
have a genre yet or a favorite band or anything yet, you know, at that
I
point.
grew up playing violin, and then I transferred to bass like in 6th grade, like over an orchestra, and then it became cool. I got an electric one, but you need to do that bridge
Yep.
because no, I hated violin. I hated it. I didn't want
Yeah.
to practice it. I was like, I'm a dork.
Yep.
I didn't want that at all. But it at some point you get that bridge,
Yeah.
and then you become like super cool.
Yep. It just took me a time. Took me some time. I've kind of always considered myself a late bloomer when it came to music.
We have
Yeah.
been chatting for about half an
Half
hour.
hour. Yeah.
We can gladly keep going, but I just, I don't want to, I don't want this carry on too long where people are like, oh my God, they're still talking. They're still talking.
Oh, we can always edit it, right?
We can.
Yes.
I
Fair enough.
have to take the time to do that, man. It's
Yeah.
work. It's work.
Hey
Speaking of
Ben, can I
music
ask you a
stuff,
question? How old are you? Just curious.
Yeah, I'm 37 years old.
Okay. It just like I am dead in the middle of the third wave. I'm 52.
Okay.
It helps me to know where everybody is.
Which
Yeah.
means,
Where
though,
they're
that we're
coming in.
also going to be getting music for many years, both solo and with bands from Ben Basile. So
Oh, yes.
we're all
Yes,
happy
that's
about that.
awesome.
Just getting started.
but one thing I came across about you is I never knew this was a term. It's obvious that this I guess you can call it an occupation or thing out there exists. Is you're a music engraver. I never knew until today that that was a thing.
Oh, sure.
And can you
Yeah, where
explain
did
to
you see that?
people
Where did you see
how,
that?
I think it was on your I think it's on
I might have had like engraving services on something.
yeah,
Yeah,
on
okay.
something, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
You're not writing music into necklaces and shit. You're actually,
yeah, so the term, if I'm not mistaken, the term came from like when they used to make old printing and they had to like make the engraving sheet and then put the ink on it and then print it, right? So engraving actually was like scratching these symbols and everything into the plate or the like the typewriter keys, like that is what you were making at the time when they called it engraving. But nowadays it is transferring something like this sheet music into computer program software.
Okay.
So that was like something that I did to make a little bit of money during the pandemic. Was my old professor hired me to go through these scores from the 1800, read through them, copy them down into the computer programs. So then you
Okay.
could now see it and change it and alter it, and then like reprint it out or clean it up. Some of the very old scores are just like scans or photographs of the original that are kept in an archive somewhere, and it's not easy to read or play if you need to perform it.
I got you.
So he had all these photos that he had taken of historical scores, and then I stared at those and put it into computer programs.
so now
that
other people are able to actually use
so
your
somebody would
programs to
be able
play it
read it.
or read
Yes.
it a lot easier.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. It is very boring. And it was something that it was something that I would literally only I could only do it for like an hour at a time a day because you're just like reading, copy, reading, copy, reading, typing, reading, typing, reading, typing. And it was very boring. But yeah, that's what engraving is, especially nowadays. Yeah.
And it makes sense that something like that exists. I just never ever thought about it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, right? Like there's many different ways to make a living as a musician. There's many different ways to learn music, play music, listen to music. Like it's so deep. Yeah.
Like you could study music with Ben, apparently.
Yes,
You
I
also
also
teach
highly
music.
recommend that. Yeah. I teach every Wednesday and Thursday. Most of my students are on Zoom, but a couple of them come in person here, and we have lessons here as well.
Did you already
That's
talk about the teaching stuff? Sorry.
We're talking
I
about it
came
right
in
now.
late.
Right
This is the
now.
first
Oh no,
play.
I want to hear more about it. That's why I wasn't.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I didn't miss it.
Yeah. And then, every once in a while I get linked up with a Big D fan who is like super stoked to be studying bass with the bass player from Big D and the Kids Table. And those students are really special because, we share something other than just learning how to play bass,
Right.
which is very special. I'm like, oh, like this Big D song, check it out.
That's awesome, dude.
And I know the actual chords. I'm not transcribing it off of
Oh yeah,
listening to it. You're like, I
know what it is. Yeah.
I know exactly what it is. And do you get do they fanboy a little bit when or fangirl a little bit when they take lessons with you?
I think I mean, maybe a little bit at first, but eventually they're just like, okay, hold on, I'm giving him a lot of my money, so I do need to like.
And then eventually they're also
I
like,
need
you're,
to learn
you're still
something.
you're still their teacher, so they're eventually like, no, he's in a cool band, but he's sort of a dick. Jesus God,
Yeah. I mean, hey, we're here to work through the hard parts, right? As that's what teachers for. I've had a lot of students over the years, and some of them now actually like playing bands proper.
That's
And
awesome.
before studying with me, they weren't really able to do that, and now they do it, and it's great. Yeah.
And yeah, that's awesome. So go to his website. You can find at benbasile.com/teaching, and you can take lessons from him.
Yeah, thanks.
And
Tim did his
We've
homework up here. This is great.
and before you do that, though, make sure if you have not already, anywhere you go and get your music, find Benergy by
Yeah.
Ben Basile and make sure you get a copy of that release. Enjoy it. It is good. You will not be
What's your
disappointed.
favorite tune off my record? Where are you guys at?
Oh, now
Ooh,
you're going to switch those questions around,
you're
aren't
gonna
you?
switch it. You're gonna switch it around. Uh, Probably for me, the maybe Cacao Nib.
Yeah.
That's a
Excellent choice.
that's a great tune. Lloyd Nib. You can't go wrong.
Yep.
Uh, have a little tribute there to him, and I mean it's a good song. I
Yeah,
just
thank you. Thank you.
I
Yeah, that
enjoy it.
one
Timo?
Timo, what about you?
I'm trying to pull out the set list again, like you were. I got to pull up the
Yeah,
list of
that's
the
okay.
songs,
Well,
and I
what were you
can't
gonna
get
say
there.
about that
Yeah, I
song,
was gonna say
Ben?
Cacao Nib, it's just a pun of my two favorite things, ska music and chocolate. And just wanted to write a song in tribute to that. Yeah, that's where it came from.
And I always
And
like the when Latin flavors get into ska, and
absolutely, yeah, that was something that was a little nod to New York Ska Jazz Ensemble because they have done a lot of that as well. And New York Ska Jazz also had a tune by Carrie Brown called Ska Nib, which
yep.
was the same thing, was a tribute to Lloyd Nib as well. So there's a lot of stuff that is echoing and tribute to a lot of the artists that I like throughout that record. I could go through and be like, this is from him, this is from them, this is from this band, this is a tribute to this is a nod to this. All the influences are there for sure.
I think Timo's still trying to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Timo,
looking.
you can just say you like them all. That's fine.
No, I do. I honestly,
It's like that quote from Office Space, when they ask him about Michael
Michael
Bolton.
Bolton. Yep.
I celebrate his entire catalog.
Exactly.
I
I
personally
celebrate
especially
Ben
like
Basile's
I especially
entire
like Ben's
catalog.
second release. Oh wait, no, there's only one release.
Not yet. Not yet.
Ben, I'll
Oh,
be honest with you. I was not ready for you to be on here. I am the just jumping on third interviewer, I guess. It's effing cool that you're here, though. This is
Thank
amazing.
you. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
missed the last couple weeks, so I did not know this was happening.
but I can kind of roll this into another question though.
I
Since
really liked
we're
Whataboutism.
whataboutism?
What aboutism? Cool. Excellent choice.
I just,
Uh,
go ahead, Tim.
well, I was going to say, I talked a little bit about the Latin flavor of that song, and it mentions in multiple things I've read about you. You've traveled the 6 continents. I have myself. Let's go back to another favorite question. Where's been like one of your favorite places to play on those
Yeah.
6 continents?
Yeah.
We can get you down to the penguins in Antarctica one day and get you that seventh continent in.
I
But
would love to.
We
until
can't, we
then,
can't, we can't visit the penguins for the tariffs on the penguins.
Oh, shit.
until
Well,
until that day.
Tim, this one's an easier one because I do get asked this one a lot. And the answer is always Spain. When I
Okay.
played with New York Ska Jazz Ensemble, we would play like a week and a half in Spain every tour.
Okay.
So I have been to pretty much every like major city and a lot of the small cities in Spain as well. I love the country. I love the food. I love the people. The shows there are really great. And they love ska music in
Nice.
Spain. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. So that's the easy one.
That's my favorite place is right next door in Lisbon, Portugal. That was a great place to visit. But
Yeah.
I don't play. I have no musical talent. I just take other people's music and I spin it around and around on a turntable.
Yeah, but see, that's where you still
That's
have
great.
more skill than me because I don't spin things on a turntable. I hit play and put it together and say, "Here, you listen to this," not from my computer.
I've even got one better. I used to play bass guitar, so now I'm just watching a guy who actually was successful at it when I realized I could not have the rhythm to do it because I had white boy shoes like about 20 years ago. I was okay, but I was never going to be that good. It was fun though. I loved it.
I enjoyed your time with Slag Heap, Steve.
Slag Heap. Don't blame me. I voted for Slag Heap. We had a shirt actually. It was a President Bush, the first Bush shirt.
Oh wow.
It was just like, don't blame me. I voted for Slag Heap with the Bush picture on it. I never sold them. We never had merch when I played. It just showed up at a record store one time after I left the band, like years later.
Yeah, I bought one of those shirts.
You got one?
I don't anymore,
like,
but I
used
had
to be
one
in that
back in the
band.
day.
Oh man,
So-
you were at Supernova last year, I'm assuming.
Mhm.
You've been with 2000. You played last year.
Yeah, he played
Yeah,
with
Big D.
last
Yeah,
year.
we played on Saturday last
I'm
year.
just saying that sometimes festivals you don't all the people can't play
Oh yeah.
scheduling wise.
all those days at Supernova run together.
Mhm.
They're long and full of ska.
Actually,
And
It
at
could have been
at
Sunday.
this point, all those years for me have run together. Like you were
Yeah.
Supernova is one of the 5-6 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now just here, let's fanboy up a little bit. I'll do it. I'll do it. That was my favorite show that I've seen in my last 3 Supernovas. Was your show last
Was
year?
the Big D set?
Yep.
Thank you very much.
I've seen you guys
on fire that
more
night.
times than I know what to do. I've been drunk when I was supposed to meet you guys after the show.
Oh, sure.
I've had all sorts of situations, but that one was amazing. It was just
Wait.
so many people all at one time.
Remind me again, Ben, when you joined Big D?
I joined in 2013. My first tour with the band was the full Warp Tour, summer of 2013.
Yes.
I don't know if that was right after we interviewed Big D or right before. We interviewed them because
it was
right
after
when
we started in 2013.
So it was somewhere right in there we interviewed
we
Big
did
D.
Big D in 2014. So you were in it.
But we did not talk to you. We talked to Dave. Oh, my internet connection's unstable. Come back.
Would you like to hear the fun behind the scenes?
I think there.
Okay, you got me now?
We're back.
Timo's internet connection went away for a second. He's out in the sticks at the moment.
Would you like to hear the fun behind the scenes story about that Supernova set, Steve?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So we are on stage doing like a line check, getting ready for the show. And Jesse Hayes was there. Jesse was the longtime drummer for Westbound Train, and he was playing with the Selector that night. And Jesse walked over to the side of the stage, and he was talking to me and some other people. And then I said to him, I said, Jesse, my hat is going to blow off during this show. Like, I was like, can you stay right here and grab it for me when it happens? And he was like, yeah, Ben, I got you. No problem. Second song in, we're playing LAX, and my hat goes flying. And if you go look this up on the YouTube video, it's all there, but the camera's changing, but you can see that my hat's on me. It's not there. I'm laughing, whatever. It's all hysterical. So my hat flies off. I look, Jesse Hayes is not there. Joe Gittleman is there. Joe Gittleman grabs my hat. I'm playing LAX. I bend over on the side of the stage. He puts the hat back on me. It's not straight. It's like all sideways and shit. I'm laughing the whole time. We're still playing LAX. It finally gets to one of the stops in LAX, and I straighten out my hat, and then we just keep going. And yeah, that was the fun little behind the scenes story.
We
Jesse
now call
Hayes-
him Joe Gittleman, the hat middleman.
Well, I call him my hat tech. We had that joke going when we did a tour later that year, last October.
Next time I talk to him, I'm going to call him Hat Tech.
Well, you maybe remind him.
I probably will have to because it will probably look at me very confused.
He would. Yeah. I think it was like,
That's
I think
funny.
I think it's pretty ridiculous and cool that I get to have inside jokes with Joe Gittleman nowadays. That's pretty rad.
That's the whole thing with ska in general. I was into it in a big way, like in college, and then I got out of it. And my brother and I got back into it in like 13 when we started doing this, or not this, but something else. My brother
EAV
does
Rudio.
EAV Rudio, and that went on. I moved to Colorado with my wife, and he still does it. But yeah, we just got back into it. Actually, you guys were the band that got us back into it. Really, I started.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna go find some ska that I like, some new bands. I just looked on the internet, like, what? Just give me some names, and I found Big D, and I went and I saw you guys. I'm not sure if it was 13 at that time or not, but it was like, was it Talk Radio? Some radio band, something with the name Radio in their band
Date
name.
Radio.
Yeah, them. You guys are opening up for them?
Yeah, that would have been just before I joined, but yes.
Okay, yeah. That was the first time we saw them. Timo and I went, and you remember that, Timo, at Variety Playhouse in Atlanta, Georgia, and we talked with the Dollies a little bit after the show, just like, hey, we're starting this internet show. We're just like, hey, what can we meet any of the guys? They're like, no, they're on backstage.
Yep.
we needed Chris to mix to do it.
Yeah.
Chris and Roger helped us out.
But Ben, congratulations on the new album.
Thank you.
So it's been out for a little bit now. It's been out for just over a month, I want to say, right? Came out at the end of May.
May 2nd.
May 2nd, beginning of May. And the first single came out on February 28th. So
yeah, it's been a little while.
It's been a little while where it's out there. I'm glad we get to kind of promote it and make sure people are aware of it. And if they haven't listened to it yet, I highly suggest it. It is a great ska jazz album. The musicians you have on there are amazing.
Thank you.
I'm so glad we got to talk to you about this today.
I'm very happy to be here.
I would also like to
spreading the good word.
I also like to say thank you for coming and putting up with us for this.
Especially me coming in like totally not ready for this.
I will say it has been a very long process. Like you just said, the first single came out in February 28th, so it's been a long time. And then the tour was last weekend, right? So literally yesterday, I had the first moment in months where I was like, okay, I don't have something that I need to be doing right now. Like I had like, oh, I could just go chill on my couch for a little bit before I have to now go do this other thing. Like prior to for the last like 3 months, I have had like a massive list of things that I need to do and take care of every single day to keep the whole process moving, and the promo and the videos and the interviews and all of that. So I have this weekend and next weekend off, and I'm going to go to the beach and relax and go surfing. And
there you go.
Enjoy yourself, sir.
And eat a bunch of junk food. That's my plan.
Hey, Ben, I got one more question for you, and this is actually a real music question regarding your record.
Okay.
If you had to pick one, and I got to be really, really quiet about this, where I am, if you had to pick one song that could be radio friendly, what would it be?
From my record, what would be radio friendly?
They're all radio friendly.
Just pick one that you'd want on the radio.
That you would want on the radio.
If you could get one on the radio.
You're like, this is the one that should play.
Oh,
What
this
is
is
your
like the
single?
first single
No,
off
no,
the
I know what you
record.
mean. If I was gonna pick one and just say like, hey, this one should be on somebody's radio show, I would probably go with Mountain Road,
Okay,
which was the first single.
I'm looking at it right now.
And it was the first single because it's very approachable and kind of pop friendly as well.
Gotcha.
And I
Okay.
think we're going to leave it with that. Yeah, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Thank you, Ben.
Ben, I know we can get your record on Bandcamp. You can find it on all the streaming platforms.
Yep.
On
And
Ben's
if you want
Is there
to buy
website.
it on
somewhere? Is there?
vinyl, yeah, if you want to buy it on vinyl, it'd be at sleepwalksounds.com. That's the name of the record label.
All right.
Other than that, benbasile.com will get you anything and everything that you need.
Like we said, lessons with you,
Including
and
guitar lessons. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not guitar, bass guitar.
Yeah, pick up bass again.
guitar.
Hell yeah.
You should. Listen,
Is-
You're far away. You're far away from me. I'm in Colorado.
Yeah.
you're in a
Steve,
different
you were
time
here
zone,
for this,
it's all
right,
good.
Steve?
We can do it online, right?
Steve, yeah,
Oh,
most of his lessons are Zoom.
Yep.
So you
Right.
can do
That's
this
what I'm
with
saying. We
Zoom,
can do them
buddy.
online.
Yep.
So
Because
Ben,
of
is
the
there
time
anything?
zones. Yeah, take a late lesson.
Is there
All
anything
right.
else you want to plug before we call it?
Yeah, any last messages, messages you need to
Yeah,
send
no,
everybody?
just go check out Benergy if you haven't heard it yet. I'm trying to get ska album of the year, so let's keep it going. Yeah,
Nice.
that's my goal.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for taking the time to
Yeah.
talk with us, and the new album's great. Love it. I was listening it today at work again just
Thank you.
to get my mind back into it, and yeah, thank you for the music.
Yep.
No problem.
Thank you very
nice,
much, Ben.
Nice chatting with you all. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ben.
And with that, boys and girls, take it light, keep it easy. See you next time.